Hello and happy Saturday. The wind is windy, so sorry about that, but it matches the state of my brain at the moment. So I'm continuing the conversation from yesterday about how we treat people, how we think about people, with maybe questionable pasts and, moral ambiguity, as we called it yesterday. So today I was talking to a friend about it, and my poor friends are just getting agonized along with me. Sorry about that. And now you guys too. So today the topic shifted over to more like how do we treat artists specifically? Which I think is great, because this is a question that I've had since I was young. There's an analogy or an anecdote of a time when I was singing a song as a kid, and my mom was like, "Don't you dare sing that song. That song is in a really bad movie." And I'm like, okay, that's just silly. If you're not allowed to sing a song because it's in a bad movie, then you can't do anything, right? If guilt by association is to that many degrees removed, then there's nothing you can do. You can go anywhere or do anything without that guilt by association coming back to you. And so that is obviously too far. But the question is, if there's an artist, like a musician or singer or something that you like, and then you find out that they have a questionable past or a questionable present even, how do you move forward? Do you choose to continue to say, listen to their music, or do you boycott them and say, no more? So I get mixed reviews on this from my friends. Some of them are like, if the person's dead, screw them, spit on their grave, doesn't matter. And that does seem to be a running theme. If the person is dead, then it doesn't matter so much. And I think I can understand that as if we're talking about that person's effect in the world, and you're like, oh, my support of them is enabling them to continue to be a horrible person, then I don't want to do that. But after they're dead, they can't continue that, so then it's okay for me to, let's say, listen to their music or whatever, because now it's not directly supporting them. But I guess the question is if you support somebody after they've died by consuming the creations of their lifetime, is that in any way a support for things beyond that scope? And I think scope is a good word here. It's is somebody's creations a specific narrow scope where you can isolate it from the rest of their behavior, or does that all get included in it? I've been learning more about people just bringing this subject up to my friends that I didn't know. I didn't know anything about Picasso. He's just a horrible person. What can I say? The culture around me gave me this perception of just the guys and artists that just have this really strange, style. Strange style. I'm just butchering this art conversation here. But no, this is the point, though, is if the information that gets passed on to me about certain people from society is just stripped of all of their ethical consequences, all of the things that they did during their lives, Like, is that okay? Like, are we allowed to just, I mean, it is agonizing to try and figure this out for me at the moment. Because on one hand, I feel like if you like Picasso's paintings, right, then by telling you just now that he's a shit person, I could have just robbed you of that pleasure. I've taken pleasure out of the world, right? Just like happened to me moments ago when my friend informed me of this. And it's like, I feel like the pleasure that we take in, art, that's a good thing. So even if it comes from a bad place, it's like, it's still enjoyment. Should we really rob ourselves and the world of that? I mean, this is how I've lived my life up till now, is like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, if it gives me joy, then that's enough. It's adding joy back into the world. And so I feel like that is true. But it's also just like, it feels wrong too. It feels wrong it's like I'm giving somebody something, I'm giving these people, like, by appreciating their art. Like, if I knew, now that I know about Mr. Picasso's past, it feels like to allow myself to enjoy, not like I really enjoyed it that much anyway, but hypothetically, to enjoy his paintings is like, it feels wrong, It's like, I don't know, enjoying a cake made by a murderer that you know is a murderer, right? It's like, should you really be allowed to enjoy that cake? The cake has nothing to do with the murder. And so, I guess the question really comes down to, like, well, okay, let's say that we just didn't care about anybody's past, right? Let's say that we just enjoy art for what it is, and, like, that's the end of the story. Is that okay? I feel like it is, kind of. I mean, that's how I've been doing life. But then, of course, when I hear about, like, after I hear about something, I can't unhear it, right? So now anytime I see a Picasso painting, I'm gonna think, that dick! So, like, it just kind of gets spoiled all by itself. And then so recently my tactic has been like, don't learn about people, because by informing myself, I take that pleasure away from myself. And it's the same thing with, like, telling other people, which here I am telling you about Picasso. Sorry again. But I really just don't know what to do about it. Like, because it feels like if you continue down that path of just being like, everyone is guilty by association, and we need to boycott everything that didn't come from a pure place, then, like, depending on how strict you are with that, then everything would get canceled. Everything would be boycotted. And yes, we may as well just climb into a hole, have it filled up with cement, and go to sleep, because there's no thing that is untouched by just a tainted past, I guess. So, but then if we don't do anything, and we kind of just like, Diddy, that guy, I don't mind his music. I don't care about what he did. Like, I'll still listen to his music. It's like, doesn't that just feel wrong? Like, to not to not do the little thing that you can do when justice has failed us and boycott the man, right? But then where's the line? Where is the point where you're like, this, do we have to, each of us, be judge, jury, and executioner, just always on patrol out in the world being like, I am going to go out and actively I can see this. I'm going to say that it doesn't matter a ton. I think I'm leaning towards the way that I have lived my life, which is like, we can take pleasure from something and that's fine. That doesn't mean we're in support of what the person did. So like, I could see somebody who's just doesn't know anything about Diddy, who just happens to hear him on the radio or something, I've heard him, just never has been really informed, maybe has seen like a video pop up now and then, but just hasn't wanted to click on it because they don't want to ruin like the little bit of joy they can take from this life. And like, should we condemn this hypothetical person who does this? And I think no. Like, I think that it is okay if they decide to live in ignorant bliss. Now, I would say that we have a responsibility if we are going to be like a commercial, if we are going to be out there telling people like, oh man, you got to get Diddy's new album, right? If it no longer is a private thing, and it becomes the more of an influence that you have on other people, the more of a responsibility that you have to inform yourself. So I think if you're not influencing other people or trying to influence other people and how to live their lives, then you can basically just, sort of ignore things and go about your business. And I think that is ethically okay, I guess. I would say that it is like a positive thing to inform yourself and to be an activist, but there's endless things that you can be an activist in. So if you're choosing to be an activist in other areas and you just want to listen to music and not care about certain things and you focus on other things to care about, I think that that's fine. And we're all we make the world better by being different people who have different focuses, right? So we can't all be informed about every single person and every single walk of life. So I think that that's okay. And it doesn't say anything really horrible against you if you don't feel like, staying up to date on every single piece of drama. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna climb down this hill here and then maybe walk out there. I don't know where I'm walking. I'm just randomly walking around just like my brain is doing right now. I'm gonna pause this and I'm gonna think if there's anything else I want to add, and I might be back. Okay, so one thing I guess I want to add is that in my conversation with one of my friends, I was about to reference cancel culture in the opposite way when I'm like, oh, cancel culture. I mean, I think it is generally a positive thing, and I do, but I also do think it goes too far sometimes. Sometimes we just have a knee-jerk reaction to something. We have a trigger, and we're just like, oh, we hear one unsubstantiated rumor, and we're immediately like, boycott, cancel, right? And I don't think that's good, even though I do think that individuals having the power to police the world in a way like never before in history, to this extent at least, I think that is a good thing. It keeps people more honest, maybe. And like, yeah, like, how hard is it to not be a horrible person? But I guess as far as like, when I think it goes too far, it's like sometimes it's like, some people, like, we all just make mistakes sometimes. And if you're gonna get too strict, like I hear a lot of people just being like, oh, did you hear what this person said? And it's like, I've heard you say things, and if, like, if we're gonna go around just taking every single thing that you wanna like quote somebody saying, then we can make demons out of all of us, and then there's just, the world is just gonna look evil. Like, so I don't think somebody is completely defined off of certain lesser sins. But anyway, I was about to reference Justin Roiland, or however you say his name, the Rick and Morty creator, because several years ago he was canceled after accusations from his ex that he was abusive. And at that time, I looked into this because I was, enjoying me some Rick and Morty. And I was like, what is this about? And I look it up, and I find out that the court case was dismissed because there wasn't enough evidence, basically. And so at that point I was like, see, this is unfair, because like, if the court rules you innocent because there's not enough evidence, then like, he just got canceled, and his whole everything just kind of came crumbling to the ground. Well, I was about to bring that up as evidence of like, when cancel culture goes too far, but I'm like, just let me be sure though. I want to make sure that before I spread this information to my friend, I wanted to double check it. So I went and looked it up again, and yes, the court case was dismissed because there wasn't enough substantiating evidence. But I saw some other things about like how he conducted himself with minors and just, other people, where it was like, okay, on that one count, I was, in fact, gracious. Wait, not gracious. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, right? But seeing all of this other evidence come to light on just how he has conducted himself with other people, I was like, well, that calls into question now your claim that all of this was all made up and that you're actually innocent. Like, if you're gonna be like, behave this way, then yeah, in fact, I think that maybe you getting canceled was actually a good thing. So I think it's very interesting, because I've flip-flopped on my view on that. But also, I think that this is exactly like what I'm talking about. Like, before I shared this information, I took it as my moral responsibility to just double check before I used it as a point, even though the point, I think, still stands. Like, that cancel culture does go too far sometimes. That particular example, I think, isn't a good example. So anyway, that was me fact checking before. Oh my goodness, what do we have? Is this it's a geode. Aha, but it's kind of a geode. No, it's crumbling geode. Anyway, I don't know how well you can see that. Yeah, I'm always on the lookout for rocks. Okay. Well, that made my day better. All right, well, I think we're gonna call this here. This has just been a discussion, trying to clear my head on what to do. And I think the conclusion that I'm drawing, for now at least, is that if you're trying to be a good person in the world and you're like, focused on that, then there's only a limited number of things you can focus on, and we can only do so much as people. So if you don't boycott somebody or inform yourself on like every person that exists, on like knowing whether or not you should cancel them, I think that's just fine. And also, I think it's fine even if you are informed on somebody and you know that they suck. If you're like, I just like Diddy's music. I mean, I think it's not great. Like, I wouldn't give him money. I would say that that's like if you're paying for this or even just watching his YouTube or whatever. But if you've already paid for his CDs, or if you find them at a thrift shop or something, I don't know. Is it really that bad? I think yes, but the problem would be is if you're going out and like basically spreading Diddy around. Ugh. So the more influence you have on your friends, the people around you, the more responsibility you have to be like, I don't know, an example, I guess. So that's where I'm gonna leave this now. I don't know. It's just me rambling. I will figure this out.